People who suffer from mental health disorders, what was your this isn't normal moment? I have been working my current job for about a year now. It's a reasonably chill job, virtually no stress, I have no immediate supervisor, and I make my own schedule. My interaction with people is minimal. And yet every day, even after a year, I still get anxiety about getting up and going to work. After a freaking year. I can relate. I grew up with just man-up parents, so I never really understood I had anxiety. I thought the chest pain and terrible feeling was just me being nervous before doing something. I honestly thought everyone had it, and it was normal. Whenever it was strong enough that stopped me from doing something, I just thought I was a huge pussy. I think it was a girlfriend who pushed me to see a psychiatrist, and it turned out I had really bad anxiety sometimes. I realized that there were time periods where the choices and actions I made were not my own. Knowing myself, knowing I'm not stupid or unhappy, and still finding myself reflecting on a lengthy period of time where someone who others, as well as myself, consider themselves fully capable and responsible for their own actions, could not find any reasonable explanation for my behavior over days/weeks/months depending on how severely the episode impacted my life. Was the saddest day I've ever experienced. All I've ever had was my sanity throughout a chaotic youth. Losing that while maintaining cognizance was one of the hardest things I've dealt with. Kind of different, but I have severe ADHD, like, untreated, I would be living in a box and/or completely non-functional, and have been on lots of different treatment plans. Some were okay, some not at all, but the day I started my current plan, I took my med in the morning, and about 20 minutes later my head was completely quiet. It's that feeling, when you're in your house, doing whatever, and you notice the silence, and it feels weird, like too quiet. I had that this is not normal thought, and then is this how it for everyone else? I had to consciously choose what I was going to think about and focus on. Never ever in my life have I held the remote for my own brain. Definitely did not feel normal, and I had learned how to think with a clear, linear, compartmentalized brain. Been 6 years now, and it's still the best treatment plan I've had, even with 2 years of CBT training specifically for my severe ADHD. I experience issues related to ADHD, anxiety, and intermittent depression. For ADHD it was when I kept getting assignments in school I knew how to do, but felt completely unable to accomplish them. For anxiety it's when as a kid I would get extreme stomach aches before going to bed due to my stress of not completing my homework, likely due to my ADHD, and wouldn't be able to stop my mind from racing, which in turn made my heart race, and fuck, it was a nightmare. Luckily I'm more aware of it now, and can usually deal with it. For the depression, it's when I found myself hating everything I would normally do without thinking and looking for any distraction from dealing with the pain. I would also ignore all outside contact, not get out of bed, ignore basic cleanliness practices, like literally just throwing the pits of cherries onto the floor of my apartment, since I didn't care, and then just not caring about myself at all. Like literally feeling like I was a burden to both myself and the people in my life. My memory is gone thanks to meningitis, but it was almost immediately after I woke up from a coma. The world looked different. I can't keep track of time correctly anymore. It all kind of blurs together in my head. Sometimes I just stop, freeze up in the middle of doing something, or talking, anywhere from a few seconds up to 13 minutes at the long end. Like someone hit the pause button, then I just go right back to what I was doing or saying, even if the person or people I was talking to has moved on in conversation. It just left and put a sticky note on the brim, if my hat, that they waited 3 minutes and had to go. Sorry. But the worst is the itch. From the day I woke up till now it feels like I have an itch inside my skull that I can't reach. Like my brain actually itches. That one takes the cake. When I sat down and figured out how many of my grandma's pills I would have to take to die in my sleep, I was spending all my time alone in tears, regretting every aspect of my life, and considering myself a complete waste of space. I figured out roughly how long it would take for me to fall asleep, and that I could die well before anyone came home from the store. It was hard to stop myself from doing it, but I didn't know how my mom would react to finding my body. Thank God I didn't do it. Things have really turned around since I was a teen. I was getting pissed for literally no reason, especially at the people important to me like my family or my boyfriend. When I was in this mood I'd say and do everything to hurt them, the worst things that cut the deepest. Then I'd get sad and feel bad for them and myself because I didn't even know why I was behaving that way. I'm on meds now and I stopped behaving this way. I have full control over my anger and I don't get angry for no reason at all. And I don't use people's weaknesses against them. I was a shitty person. I had lots of small ones. In 3rd grade my teacher told the class she would know if we were lying because we wouldn't be making eye contact. That was the first time I realized I was supposed to make eye contact with people. My mom telling me in high school I was supposed to be able to tell my friends about my problems and I realized I didn't have any friends close enough to do that. When I visited home for the first time and realized the homesick feeling I had been having since I was a kid wasn't normal homesickness. I was in the midst of a long and painful breakdown due to crippling anxiety and phobias. I was sitting in the car with my husband and suddenly this sensation came over me like heaviness or numbness, and I got really confused about who I was. I had had a dream the night before about being in the army and suddenly I wasn't sure if that was reality and this was the dream or vice versa. I didn't feel real. I felt like I was floating away. I was scared out of my mind and called out to my husband who was driving, but my voice didn't sound like words, and he turned to me and started talking to me, but I couldn't understand what he was saying. Then it just stopped again. It was like 10 seconds of pure fear. Someone told me it's called depersonalization or derealization. It happened about 10 more times before I got help. IDK, what fucking mental disorder I have. I've never seen a doctor, but like I always put stuff in pairs. People, food, colors, animals, even letters, musicians, everything. Car types, like me and my best friend. Bananas and avocados, apples and peaches. Like everything comes in a pair. Everything has what my mind calls it's like. Mint is like cinnamon, chocolate is like vanilla. It's kind of just like opposites. But it calms me down if like I have a Honda and my friend has a Nissan because they are pairs. Or my friend's favorite color is green and my favorite color is pink. And it always changes up in my mind. I'm never set on just one way for things to be like. It's not fucking normal. Sometimes I stay up all night looking for the perfect pair for some stupid shit like coconuts. I couldn't decide if it was like aloe or like watermelon. It's so goddamn stupid. I hate that I do it. I can't live a normal life because I'm constantly thinking. Apple is like Samsung and Motorola is like LG, that kind of weird shit. When I straight up had a major panic attack in the middle of Walmart, I was fine, getting some milk, normal stuff. But as soon as I grabbed the milk, the whole place started spinning. I started to panic, and I had no idea why. I just collapsed on the floor in the fetal position, just shaking and sobbing, and I was just fine. Before I went to Walmart, people called 911. Somehow I blacked out and woke up in an ambulance. It wasn't taking me to a hospital. They were just monitoring me, but turns out I have a disorder that makes me have major panic attacks at random times. I have gotten more control over it, but it still happens. They said it could be a form of PTSD I got from my childhood. I'm always scared that it might happen again. Shortest backstory ever. Lost my sister at a very young age. Never knew my father. Raised by my mom, my hero. I was diagnosed with depression and suicidal tendencies, all under control, all medication up to date. My this is not normal moment happened when I was in the middle of a crisis. Depression has all types of crisis, and I challenged my mom to a fist fight. Mind you, I'm 6 feet 4 inches, 240 pounds male, former basketball player, and used to work a lot as a bouncer. What triggered this reaction? I honestly don't know. Luckily for me and our relationship, I didn't go through it and sat down. Actually, I sat down, turned myself into a little ball, cried like a baby. First thing in the morning, went to see a psychiatrist, and been going ever since. So, I have a lot of them. Feeling completely numb, having no highs or lows anymore, just pure numbness. Being constantly tired, even though I slept between 8-16 a day. Not wanting to live, but also not wanting die. A little later, After my numbness got better, extreme mood swings that went -100 to 100 in on second, and that multiple times a day. Not seeing any value or reason in anything. Just everything seemed useless. Not being able to let anybody touch me because then I would get flashbacks that I didn't recognize as flashbacks at the time. Having absolutely no sex drive at all. After my tiredness got a little better, not being able to sleep at all, or if then, just 4-5H, and with having trouble to fall asleep, sleeping through the night, and waking up the next day, like staying awake. Feeling constantly lost or overwhelmed with absolutely everything. Went to therapy, and it got better. I'm still not great, but definitely better. Stay strong guys, you made it this war, you can do the rest as well.